this was when I was working in a hospital, and I won't give the full details because I don't want to violate anyone's confidentiality. But there was a young man who was the police had informed us that he had committed a murder and shown us evidence for it and everything like that. And so we were really shaken up. This was a young man who was in the ER for something else, like was the ER for some other kind of drug related issue. And so our task was we had to talk to him about it and ask to make sure that he knew what he did, what if he was aware of it, and what the consequences would be legally. So I was shocked. Walking into this room, I had all these pictures of what a boogeyman would look like, right? Someone who, like a murderer, like someone who was big and scary and, evil. It was just a really polite young man, really nice, really smart, articulate, sweet. He was answering all of our questions. He was talking about school and trouble with drugs. And he was like, I don't want to do this again. This is awful. I'm so sorry. And we kept asking questions to try to get him to admit what had happened, what we learned about. But he kept saying no. Like he kept like not talking about it. He kept talking about drugs and school and going to visit someone else in another town. And finally, the attending doctor was like, "Okay, are you aware that we know that you have committed a murder? Do you know anything about that?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I did that too. Nothing. No fear." No shock, no, like I was on pins and needles. I was so scared to talk about like the elephant in the room, right? And when it was brought up, the shocking part to me was that it was like nothing. It was like no big deal. And he did not look afraid. He said he knew what was going to happen to him. He knew that, he broke the law and that there's going to be the consequences, but he did not seem sorry. He did not, it was as if I said, "Hey, you went to the grocery store the other day." He was like, "Yeah, I did that." So that was a really good example. Like I got up close and personal with someone with really clear callous and unemotional traits, someone who might be a psychopath, who has really low empathy to the point where he didn't even see the problem with killing someone else. Granted, he might have been hiding it. He might have been really good at masking that. He might have been in shock and in a trauma. So you might have been like cold because he's blanking out. But the long conversation about other things, and then he talked about a little bit about the crime, and it really just didn't seem like it would faze him as much as it would anyone else. Pineapple. So that really was like a moment where I got to see what it's like to actually have psychopathy or to be a psychopath. Research shows that in people who have those traits, there's less amygdala activity. And there's reduced fear conditioning and lower sensitivity to threat. So they're not shaken by surprises or fear. They don't learn how to be afraid of things, and they're not as emotional, right? The unemotional, callous and unemotional traits, they have less emotional reactivity. He kind of was like blank. Everything was cool. So that is a little picture of like a more severe type of what we think of ASPD. But people with pure ASPD without a psychopathy can just look chaotic and violate the rights, but they might not be as like cold, calculating, and almost like chilling, right? That's kind of like what I picture for evil. And sociopathy, like, is a word that is floated around, but it's not actually used by psychologists that much.